what's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where I'm joined once again by the one and only Rashad from Rashad G Reviews to discuss yet another Rocky film, and one that I'd probably consider to be the original end of the franchise, because the next film is Rocky Balboa, but that took an extended 16-year break before that happened. And while I am looking forward to that for sure, we have to get through what is often considered to be the worst of Rocky films, Rocky 5. Let's get cracking. After battling Ivan Drago in the fourth Rocky film, Rocky has suffered immense and seemingly irreversible brain trauma that, along with some panic attacks, forced him to go into early retirement from the sport. Outside, Rocky still wants to feel like a winner, but after losing his home and money, he has very little to appreciate. But that is when Tommy Gunn enters the ring, asking Rocky to be his manager, to which Rocky does agree to, not fully understanding that this newcomer just does not have Rocky's heart. First and foremost, gotta give Rashad a huge shout out and thanks for joining me once again for another Rocky adventure. We'll be hearing what he has to say about Rocky 5
in just a hot second.
But one thing that you say in your portion of the review, Rashad, is that because I'm often somebody that has hot takes on my channel, you wouldn't really be surprised if I said this film was my personal favorite. I can assure you that it's definitely not my favorite, Rashad, but I will say that I do like it, and I consider it to be better than Rocky 3 and 4. All these movies are good, mind you, but 3 and 4 just kind of felt like weird fever dream, high-octane, adrenaline-fueled, steroid-ridden movies where Rocky himself doesn't even feel like Rocky. He feels like Stallone, and trust me when I say there is a difference. Rocky 1 and 2 introduced you to this character, this really dumb but lovable guy. Hey, Paulie, yo Adrian, I don't read too good, you know? Wearing that hat, having that stature and shuffle in his step, and then 3 and 4, he was standing straight, perfect posture, speaking eloquently. He can read now, he can do commercials now, when in the past he couldn't. He has a confidence that he didn't have before, and it just doesn't feel like Rocky. Both 3 and 4 have their moments that are unforgettable, but if your primary character doesn't exactly feel like your primary character anymore, that immediately causes an issue, and parts of his character that made him as lovable in the first place, that made you root for him in the first place, is back again in Rocky 5. And it's like this giant refreshing thing for me. I also thought that because they stripped Rocky of everything, money, power, fame, it allowed for the film to take a step away from its typical structure that, in all honesty, I was growing a little bit tired of, and it did something new and different. It allowed Rocky to feel human. It allowed him to have anxiety issues, at least in the beginning of the film. It allowed him to face the actual consequences of being Rocky in general, and that's actually pretty heavy. This is really, truly the first time in the series that they did that, allowing the audience to take a little bit of a breather and realize that this character is not invulnerable or a superhero of some sort. The end fight, likewise, takes place in a street. It's a street fight. I actually kind of low-key love that, because for the very first time, again, the series did something different. I'm actually kind of happy that it didn't take place in a ring. All in all, there's a lot of choices that the film takes that I dug. On top of that, the film is also extremely quotable. Do I have any negatives for it? Sure, but I'll let Rashad speak his piece with it first. Take it away, Rashad.
Alright, the time has come. We're finally talking about the redheaded stepchild of the Rockyverse, and that is Rocky 5, the most hated of the franchise. Even Sly Stallone disowns this movie. He was asked what he would give this out of a 10. He gave it a 0. He hates this film. Unfortunately, because Rocky 5, this is just me now. Dave, knowing you and your hot takes, I wouldn't be surprised if you said out of all the Rocky films, you would say this is your favorite. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, actually, Rocky 5 is the best one. I wouldn't be shocked. But nah, in no way, shape, or form is this a terrible movie. As far as Rocky standards go, yes, it falls short. And I think because it really gets away from the formula of Rocky, even though it kind of goes back to the roots of Rocky where he was just a brute with a big heart. It takes it back to that, how he was in the first two movies as compared to 3 and 4. He was more of a like superhero type. It almost didn't seem like he was Rocky anymore. But he brings it back to being Rocky again. But the Rocky formula is kind of gone in this one, because in these movies, you always root for Rocky. He's the underdog. You know, he has something that he's fighting for, and you want to see him overcome those obstacles and fight the fight. Whether he wins or loses, you still root for him because you know he's going to give it his all. In this movie, he really has nothing to fight for. He loses all his money. He loses everything. He has to move back to Philly, so he takes a step backwards, and there's no kind of light at the end of the tunnel. So, okay, here we are. I'm not going to be this rich person again. I'm not going to live in this big house again. This is where we're at. And I put the fedora back on, got the cigarette in the mouth again. Like, so he takes a step back, and it's like, okay, he has no goals in this movie really, except for, I guess, reconnecting with his son, who unfortunately, I mean, he's played by his real son, Sage Stallone, who passed away in 2012. And that's another, I think, highlight of this film, even though Sage Stallone is probably not the best actor, but just knowing what happened to him in real life. And so to see him and Slide together as father and son in the movie, and knowing that the father and son is in real life, is kind of special to see. You know, I'm pretty sure for Sly, he feels that way too, even though he doesn't like this movie. But I'm pretty sure he watches this film and it has those emotions because that was his son. But yeah, everybody's back here. Adrian, Paulie, even Burgess Meredith comes back as Mick, as the ghost of Mick. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. And Tommy Morrison, who is the villain here, he's the antagonist, and he's probably one of the weaker of the Rocky antagonists. And I'm sorry, I really couldn't take him seriously with that southern accent, and he always seemed like he was kind of bitchy and whiny. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of being Rocky Balboa's puppet, and I'm tired of being called a damn robot too. I'm better than Balboa ever was. I'm like, bro, I can't take you seriously. But he is the most legit of all the Rocky opponents, because he's a real life boxer. So if you don't know Tommy Morrison, he was a heavyweight contender back in the 90s. He fought like George Foreman and, the monsters, So in the real world, Tommy Morrison will fuck you up. But in this movie, okay. So yeah, not to, where am I at? I don't want to lose nobody here. Because Dave, I'm assuming you have a lot to say. So yeah, this really gets away from what made Rocky special. And of course it ends in a street fight, which is entertaining, but it just seems so out of place. We're used to seeing Rocky in the ring. Even with the Creed movies, the movies always end in the ring. This ends in a street fight where Mickey comes to him and gives him some motivation, and Rocky gets up, he wins the fight, but that's all. He's still in the same shithole that he was in the beginning of the movie. Well, after he lost everything. So nothing's really resolved here. He just beats his old protege up. Protege gets taken to jail, and he's back to being Rocky again. And Dave, for some reason, I feel like you're going to bring this up, because, 5 takes place right after 4, right? So he was in Russia for like maybe, a month or so, or something like that, or a few weeks. And it's funny how he comes back, and his son went from being, 7 or 8 years old in Rocky 4, that he becomes he's like a full teenager by 5. And when they move back to Philly, his son out of nowhere develops this Philly Italian accent, Hey, how about Tommy? You're pretty close. You're pretty tight with Tommy too, huh? I'm like, where did that accent come from? I think you're going to feel like this movie the way I feel about it. It's entertaining enough. It's still Rocky. It's still got that Rocky charm, that Rocky magic. The Bill Conti score saves the film. Stallone, of course, he couldn't give a bad Rocky performance if he tried, because he is Rocky Balboa. But the movie overall just takes a hit because it's just out of place, man. It just doesn't feel like a Rocky movie. And even has a hip-hop soundtrack. All right, this is like the most hip-hop Rocky we've ever seen, okay? We go from Eye of the Tiger and The Burning Heart to now Go For It. Yeah, just very kind of an awkward film to look at, but hey, I still like watching it. Rocky 5, I think I gave this in my other review, I think I gave it a C-. I think I gave like a C or a C-. So yeah, it's watchable, it's entertaining enough, but nowhere near the caliber of the other 4 films. That's it and that's all. Thank you for inviting me, Dave, on your channel to talk about Rocky, and looking forward to Rocky Balboa. I'm out.
Thank you to Rashad once again for joining me for another Rocky film. I've left a link to his channel in my description box down below for you to check out, send him some love, tell him who sent you. You do make a lot of arguments here because it really isn't the strongest of the Rocky films, but thank you for also saying that you appreciate it for what it is too, because I really don't think that it deserves all the hate that it's accumulated throughout the years. You brought up Sage Stallone, his son in real life, playing his son in the film. That's a pretty bittersweet moment. You also mentioned the continuity with his age as well, and that was actually something that didn't even remotely bother me, believe it or not. I didn't even think about it until you brought it up. But I guess that is kind of funny looking back. But yeah, it's not the strongest Rocky film, as I still believe that Rocky 1 and 2 combined are essentially gods among sports films in general. Very little beat those films. They are everything that you want out of this series, this character, and sports films in general, and as Rashad points out, it's basically the perfect underdog journey as well. I think I would rather watch this movie than Rocky 3 or 4, though I do have Rocky 3 rated slightly higher, and that's basically because that was the movie where they used Eye of the Tiger, and you can't beat that one. My only real negative, honestly, with Rocky 5 is Tommy Gunn, the character Tommy Gunn, the Creed before Creed, the man that Rocky gets to train. The idea of the character is fine, but the actor is not. I know that it was actually played by a real-life fighter who has since died of AIDS, so I don't want to say anything really bad about him, but he was an annoying character with his weird mullet and southern accent. It was quite a dip from villain from the 4th film to the 5th film. How do you go from Ivan Drago to this Eugene from The Walking Dead wannabe? It just doesn't click in that way. Up to this point in the series, it just has gotten bigger and bigger in villains, and then you just have this random Tommy character. That part did feel a little bit like a joke and a letdown, but I do like the journey that Rocky has taken in this film, and I realize that it is a little bit of a hot take. I score Rocky 5 an A- letter grade, final overall score of 85%, 85 out of 100 possible stars. So as you can see, I don't really understand the hate, and I actually do like it. Rocky 1, 2, and 5 all have Rocky acting like Rocky, which to me is a huge plus, but we'll see where we take the series from here on out. The next film in the series is Rocky Balboa, so we will see you again when that film comes around. Let me know your thoughts on Rocky 5 in the comment section down below. Do y'all think that it's worth the hate? And which of the Rocky films is your favorite? Let me know, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review in this Rocky series with Rashad. And until then, peace out.